So Bitcoin is more a social network than a technology. Now, for example, why we are saying we are network? Because they show here two data. We show the nodes, so they basically the single units, that is the red dot that you see in the chart. So they show the red dots that are basically, so this is almost a perfect example. WeChat, right? WeChat is a social network that they use in China. The reason why they are mostly Chinese because the authors were all Chinese plus one professor from the United States. And so this is what they are familiar for them. And you see, this is the typical, when you plot the log of price versus the log of time, right? You get this curve that we are all familiar with Bitcoin, right? A kind of rainbow curve. This is what we get here. These are power laws. These are exactly power law. If I did a log graph, it would look like a straight line. We also have another graph where we do log, and it looks like a straight line. But in this case, we did a log, what is called a log linear chart. But read the paper, they claim this is a power law, right? A power law for nodes, a power law for links. A power law, this is the change, how the network changes. So how many, remember when I told you for Bitcoin is 3 people times the number of Bitcoiners. So if you want to think about addresses, 3 times the number of addresses divided how old the system is. We found exactly the same behavior, not necessarily 3. They give a slope here, they give all the different slopes. But they found the same type of relationship where the change in the number of nodes is a power law, because usually change means that the derivative, if you know calculus, and if you have a derivative of a power law, you get a power law. And so the change is a power law for the nodes. The links is also changing as a power law. Now, this is the equivalent of a Metcalfe. Basically, is the number of links. E means edges. Edges is another name for links. Links versus nodes. So basically, it's telling you, as you increase the number of nodes, how many more links you have. And it's also a power law. So it's all power laws, right? Now, let's look at what happened with Bitcoin. Do we see the same thing? Now, we don't know. Maybe there are ways of measuring the links. If this is one of the things that eventually I want to do. I want to go deeper in network studies of Bitcoin, but it's quite challenging to get all the information directly, from the blockchain. But we have indirect information. So, for example, we know that the value of a network should be proportional to the number of links. Okay, so we can use price as a proxy for the links. If network properties are true, then the value of a network is proportional to the number of links. This is what Metcalfe law says, right? That the number of links is the value of a network. And so I use price as my proxy for links, and I use addresses as my proxy for nodes. Look what happened. Exactly the same curves. Here the red dot, in fact, I did it even with the same symbols. Red dot, red square, little squares, they are the nodes, and this is the number of links. Does it look like this? It looks exactly like that, right? Same thing here. It looks if you are looking at the change of the nodes. So I try basically to reproduce this graph for Bitcoin. These are the links, these are the nodes. This is the change in the links, these are the change in the nodes. Both power laws. Power law for the links, power law for the nodes, power law for the changes, and the densification. What is called densification is the relationship between the links and the nodes. That is basically another way of saying Metcalfe law. So it's a generalized Metcalfe law. Look at this, a straight line. That is exactly what we have here, a straight line here, right? Straight line here. Same, exactly the same. It's just that for Bitcoin, this relationship is like 1.75. When we did it with WeChat was 1.41. For the Los Alamos preprint, in fact, if anything, we are almost a copy of a Los Alamos preprint. This relationship 1.74 is exactly the same relationship between the nodes and the links in Bitcoin. That is the same slope, right? So it's really cool. It's super cool that actually we can show that. Now, the internet is one thing that I always heard. the S curve of the internet adoption. There is no S curve. It's actually a power law. And I needed to double check and triple check and four check. And this is what you have to do in science all the time. Don't trust anything. You verify. And when I look at it, it's a power law. And in fact, the slope of a power law for the internet is 2.63. And for Bitcoin, the adoption in time is 2.88, almost 3. And so they are very, very similar. You see how parallel they are? Parallel means is basically the same, very, very similar power law. The same way that the internet was adopted, Bitcoin is doing it. It's actually, if anything, a little bit faster because bigger this number, faster the adoption is. Just a little bit faster than, but it's really interesting that it's basically the same phenomenon. So when people talk about S curve, they don't know what they're talking about. Bitcoin is this. That, and the message is more beautiful than we want, because if you are trying to talk about punchline, the punchline that they want to deliver is, right now you're thinking that Bitcoin is growing and it's interesting, etc. Wait until this crazy event, there is always something on the horizon, right? When it will be sudden, and there'll be all of, one day we wake up and everybody decide to run and go and buy Bitcoin, and the price is not going to happen because there is no evidence for that. And it's actually a better message because it says, if we want to go wherever we want to go to hyper-Bitcoinization, that is going to happen in 25 years from now, Bitcoin needs simply to do what it has done so far. It needs to continue on this path. It needs to do whatever it's doing right now, and it will reach there. It's almost unavoidable. So instead of waiting for a mythical time where everybody is joining, just let Bitcoin do whatever is done so far. That is the message. But I think it's a much more realistic and positive message than everything else and people say all the time. And I don't know why they say it. It's wrong. I don't know how else to tell. It's something that I'm arguing with people all the time online and say, which S curve are you talking about? Can you show me? And nobody can do it because there is no.
It's easy and simple, right? Like that's the answer why, right? It's like it's easy and simple for people to say, and that's why they do it. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you your price predictions for what you see, looking at the laws and studying them so much. What is your, I guess your base case? I mean, what are you, again, this is a guide and a framework. So what do you see, this next year, maybe the cycle? What are you kind of eyeing?
If you want the answer to that question right there and you like that spicy clip, check it out here. Come on, we'll see you in there. But if you want the full interview in its entirety, all the spicy clips put together, and you're not going to want to miss it, believe me, then check that out here. Come on, we'll see you in there. Do it.